You know, when you're shopping online, your data is being protected by what's basically a digital fortress. So today, we're going to peek behind the curtain of a huge e-commerce platform to see exactly how it defends itself from a never-ending stream of attacks. Let's dive into Zalando's digital defense.
Think about it. Every single time you hit that Buy Now button, you're placing a ton of trust in a company, handing over some of your most sensitive info. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really standing between your personal data and the people who want to get their hands on it?
And that's a perfect lead-in to our first section, Your Data, Their Fortress. Honestly, the best way to picture a massive platform like Zalando is as a giant, sprawling digital castle specifically designed from the ground up to guard the information of millions and millions of users.
And the stakes? They could not be higher. We're not just talking about a stolen password here. A successful attack can spiral into real financial fraud. It can absolutely destroy a company's reputation, and it can grind their entire operation to a halt. This is a constant, high-stakes battle being fought every single day.
So how in the world do you defend a fortress this complex?
Well, you have to start with a map. You can't protect the castle if you don't even know its layout, right?
And that brings us to mapping out the digital defenses.
And the bedrock of this whole defensive strategy is something called trust zones. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's super powerful. You don't just build one big wall. Instead, you create layers, kind of like a medieval castle with its outer walls, moat, and inner keep. Each layer has its own set of security rules and permissions.
And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. First, you've got the public zone. That's the outermost wall where your connection from the internet arrives. By default, nothing here is trusted. Then, to get any further, traffic has to cross the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, which acts like a moat, filtering and authenticating everything. And only after passing those checks can it finally reach the internal zone, the inner keep. That's where the crown jewels are, the databases, the core services, and access there is locked down tight. Now, to build a really strong fortress, you have to get inside the head of your enemy. You have to think like an attacker. And that's exactly why defenders use a kind of hacker's playbook to anticipate what's coming next.
So Stride is basically this go-to model that security pros use to brainstorm all the terrible things someone might try to do. Each letter stands for a different type of threat. For our purposes, we're going to zero in on 3 of the big ones that could directly impact you as a user: spoofing, tampering, and information disclosure.
All right, first up, let's talk about the S in STRID, spoofing.
Spoofing is all about impersonation. It's about pretending to be someone or something you're not. So an attacker might try to trick you into visiting a fake, look-alike website. Or, more subtly, one server inside the company's network might pretend to be another to get around security checks. But the scariest one? That's session hijacking, where a hacker literally steals your active login and just takes over your account. Next up in the attacker's playbook is T for tampering. Okay, so if spoofing is about pretending, tampering is all about changing things where they shouldn't be changed. I mean, just imagine this. Someone intercepts your order in transit and just changes the shipping address. That's a man-in-the-middle attack. Or, even more sinister, an attacker could inject malicious code right into the company's software development pipeline, essentially building a permanent secret backdoor into the app itself. And finally, let's look at the I in Stride, information disclosure. This is the one you always hear about in the news, the classic data breach. It could happen because an attacker finds some tiny flaw that gives them a direct line into a database. But sometimes it's just a simple human error, like a misconfigured cloud storage bucket that accidentally leaves tons of sensitive data wide open for anyone on the internet to find. I know, all these terms can sound a little abstract. So let's zoom in on tampering and really break down how these attacks could actually have very real consequences for you. And this table just makes it painfully clear SQL injection isn't just tech jargon. It's how an attacker gets their hands on your payment information. Man in the middle? Well, that's how your brand new shoes get shipped to a thief's house instead of yours. The key takeaway here is that these technical attacks have direct, personal, and really frustrating consequences. Okay, so we've looked at the fortress map and we flipped through the hacker's playbook. So the big question is, how do we fight back? Well, that brings us to our final section, building stronger walls. This is a perfect example of that constant cat and mouse game in cybersecurity. The threat?
An attacker listening in on your connection. The defense? Powerful encryption, like TLS 1.3. Basically, it wraps every piece of data flying between you and the website in a secret code. So even if someone manages to intercept it, all they see is gibberish. But here's the thing. A really solid defense isn't just one magic trick. It's a whole philosophy. It means you encrypt everything. Data that's moving and data that's just sitting in a database. It means training developers to write secure code from day one. It means you check and double-check every single piece of information a user enters. You enforce super strict access controls. And on top of all that, you are constantly monitoring the entire system, 24/7, for any hint of trouble. In all of this, it brings us to one last really important question. We have all these incredible defenses, right? But the attackers, they're always evolving, always finding clever new ways to get in. So in this never-ending arms race that is cybersecurity, can the defenders ever truly rest?